I'd like to propose a little thought experiment. Is it possible to get to the same destination using different routes? You may think there's a simple solution, like arriving in Charlotte by train or by flight, but is the journey really the same? Don't the different paths change how you ultimately feel at the end? Chess is a term for arriving at the same position with different moves leading up to it. They call it transposing. Let's look at a simple example of how this works. Take this starting position. There are actually many ways to get here. We can move the pawns first, and then the knights. Or we can move the knights first, and then the pawns. Both arrive at the same position. Let's take this concept of transposing and apply it to film. Is it possible to get to the same destination using a different order of shots to get there? Can you juxtapose scenes differently and still get the same result? Are your feelings at the end the same? Before we take a look at some examples in film, let's talk a bit about the Kuleshov effect. Soviet filmmaker Lev Kuleshov in the 1910s came up with the idea of taking the same expression and putting different images next to it.
And how it can be changed to create a different idea. Now we have a close-up. Let me show you what he sees. Let's assume he saw a woman holding a baby in her arms. Now we cut back to his reaction to what he sees, and he smiles. Now what is he as a character? He's a kindly man. He's sympathetic. Now, let's take the middle piece of film away, the woman with the child, but leave his two pieces of film as they were. Now we'll put in a piece of film of a girl in a bikini. He looks, girl in a bikini, he smiles. What is he now? The dirty old man. He's no longer the benign gentleman.
Now let's dive into some film. First, let's take a look at the opening scene of Arrival.
I remember moments in the middle.
I love you. I hate you!
And this was the end.
Pretty tragic, right? It seems that throughout the movie, we're fixated on Dr. Banks' troubled past of the loss of her daughter to cancer. However, at the end of the film, it's revealed that this scene isn't actually from the past. It's in fact a vision of the future she has after learning to see time differently. Let's pretend this scene was at the end of the film. We would instead follow Dr. Banks' journey without knowing about this tragedy in her life. We would come to find out that she makes the decision to have the child even though she knows its mortifying ending. Despite it being the same footage, just in different order, the entire premise of the film is broken. The climactic epiphany, where we finally realize that the past is actually the future, almost makes the entire story. Next, let's analyze the style of prolific director Christopher Nolan. He's the master at non-linear storytelling, and mixing storylines up to make the audience feel tension, anticipation, and excitement for what's to come next. His first two films, Following and Memento, were completely non-linear, and you couldn't really figure out the chronological order of the story. But this was all completely intentional. Just to prove that his particular sequencing was important, he even released director's cuts of those same films where the story was entirely linear. Nolan wanted to highlight the importance of his deliberate structure and meaningful juxtapositions. He had to let his audiences know that, despite having the same scenes, by being placed in a different order, the entire nature of the film dissipates. The beauty of juxtaposition in film is that it creates a relationship between two sequential shots, and by altering its order, you lose crucial meaning. Now, let's do our own little experiment. Check out this footage with a little transposing done, and think about how you feel at the end of each clip. In this first clip, we see the green-haired boy getting forced to eat the blonde guy's hair, and the other characters are disgusted. Now we see that the blonde man is telling the creepy guy to eat a kid, and the other characters are scared. I hope this video gave you a little insight on how powerful juxtaposition can be, and just how much meaning can come out of the ordering of different shots. To answer our little thought experiment from before, maybe it's possible to reach some final destination through different paths, but in no way is the feeling in the end the same. Thanks for listening to me rant. Until next time.
Oh.